Now, this is how you send a congratulatory tweet to Tom Brady. Congratulations on your retirement and a great career, Eli. Not gonna lie, though, I wish you hadn't won any Super Bowls. That's how you hate.
And that is real. Randy Moss and Tom Brady in the greatest offense ever against the guy who produced the most facial memes ever.
Well, if Brady, they scored more than 14 points, maybe they would have done it. Shout out to that Giants defense that is so underrated right now.
Well, we start with the Australian Open because we got two wild results on the other side of the planet. First, the 8th-seeded Serena Williams was upset by the 27th-ranked Wang Shuang in 3 sets, stopping Serena's latest quest to tie Margaret Court's record of 24 majors. And elsewhere in the third round, 15-year-old American Coco Gauff, who was unseeded, stunned the 3rd-seeded Naomi Osaka 6-3, 6-4. And here was Osaka after the upset.
That's just tough. You don't want to lose to a 15-year-old, you know? But I guess that's for me like a reality check. It doesn't really matter the age of the opponent, and everyone, of course, she deserves to be here. She played her matches, and I just have to work harder.
So, Bo, which result was the bigger surprise?
Yo, she came with all the real talk, by the way. She was just like, look, I ain't trying to lose to nobody younger than me. And there ain't that many people out here that's younger than me. Now, what I found to be most surprising, I guess I lean towards Serena getting smashed in that one. Coco Gauff, and granted, she looked totally different in this match than she had when they played at the U.S. Open. She got obliterated in that match and then came out strong. You can say the same about the time that Chong played Serena the last time they faced up. But actually, I'm switching up in the middle of this. I'll go with the Serena one being less surprising. And the reason is
that's where I am.
But that's going to happen, man. Like, at some point, we have to realize that someone of her age and has been doing this as long, we're not promised that we're going to get more of this. When Margaret Court won her 24th, I bet everybody thought the 25th was just right around the corner. It's possible she's going to be stuck on 23. I'm not wishing it upon her. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but this can happen.
It is weird that we think back to the Australian Open in 2017, which Serena won while 8 weeks pregnant, and we're like, well, I guess that was the last one she was going to win. If it is, she won it while 8 weeks pregnant. There is so much to celebrate on the Serena side of the ledger forever. But this, to me, is about the coronation of a rivalry. This is a real thing. Naomi Osaka there at the U.S. Open in September, I got to watch them play, and after the match, that's where the news story was. It was Naomi Osaka being kind to Coco Gauff. It was Naomi Osaka taking a crying teenager and saying, hey, come in and join me for this post-game interview so the whole crowd can appreciate you. In this one, the vibe totally flipped. She now realizes that Coco Gauff, who, by the way, is, I believe, the youngest since Jennifer Capriati to beat a top 5 player at a women's tour level match, that, to me, this means it's real.
Let me tell you this, too. She ain't never going to do nothing like that ever again, and I don't blame her. You grown, right? You grown enough to come out here and play these tournaments. Now, man, cry by yourself. Especially after you come out here and beat me. That's the last hug that you are ever going to receive. And I'm here for that part, too, because with Serena, I found basically anytime a black woman comes up, everybody expects Serena, well, are you going to mentor her? Sloane Stephens was a person that put up there. Yeah. I'm looking at that like she ain't got a mentor. Nobody. Why? Because just what you said. It stopped being polite and it started getting real.
Absolutely.
Now, let's move on to the Clippers. On January 4th, after a 26-point home loss to the Grizzlies, Montrezl Harrell said this to the media.
We're not a great team. That's, I think, one thing that y'all need to get out y'all minds. We're not a great team. We just became together this year. We have 2 players that haven't never been a part of this team last year. We had a player that won an NBA championship with a whole other team last year. So we're not a great team. That's number one right there. I think that's what we need to realize and wake up. You know, we're a team that still has to figure out things that we need to do to win night in and night out.
All right. Per The Athletic, that prompted Doc Rivers to tell his team to keep their frustrations in-house. And then we found out that he did it. All right. Tensions are palpable with the Clippers. The scrappy unit that surprisingly won 48 games last season added Kawhi Leonard, a somewhat aloof superstar who plays when he feels up to it. On the court, a lack of playmakers makes for lots of solo basketball. But the Clippers have won 8 of their last 11. Pablo, are these tensions, which Patrick Beverley dismissed as fake news, a big deal?
They're a big deal right now. It's the product of the regular season. And to the remaining Clippers who were there last year, to their credit, they were a playoff team. They took 2 games from the Warriors, the championship-level Warriors, in the first round. And those guys felt like they were dealing with a democracy. There were no all-stars. There were no big stars. And now what are they dealing with? They're dealing with a monarch in Kawhi Leonard. And the thing about how the Clippers deal with Kawhi, They indulge him not just because he is really good, but because this is what all modern basketball teams do. So I understand why the guys underneath on the peon level are frustrated, but this is also the reality of the NBA in the modern day.
But I think the biggest reason they indulge Kawhi, if we're talking about when he plays, is because his body's not right. I don't understand why everybody always talks about Kawhi Leonard as though, well, I just don't feel like playing right now. They have an excuse basically built in for the league for when they do and don't play him because his body is not at 100% even when it is 100%. That seems to be the biggest thing that they've got going here, but I don't think this is a big deal right now. Again, they won 8 out of 11 games in this stretch. If there's going to be a big deal with this, it's going to come later. And part of it is this is not a well-constructed basketball team. It was hilarious this summer when this all came together and people were looking at the Lakers and being like, gee, I don't know if these parts are going to fit, or are you really going to trust the bodies of LeBron James and Anthony Davis? What you have on the other side, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in a roster that doesn't have anybody that can get a shot for anybody else. This roster as it stands, the two best playmakers might be Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So you're saying that the two new dudes who just came in to everything they had are going to be the ones taking all the shots and then making the decisions on everybody else that gets the shots, but that's never been the job that either of them have had. So for right now, no, this isn't a thing. What this team is going to look like in the playoffs, this roster is one that has holes that need to be filled.
There are holes, but in fairness to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, when those two guys have played, the team has played at a pace where they win about 64 games prorated over the whole season, right? So there are holes in the roster, there are weaknesses, but to me, this is as much about them discovering what Kawhi Leonard is actually like. Keep in mind, last year with the Raptors, that was a kind of awkward situation throughout, despite it ending in a championship, because Kawhi Leonard wasn't vocal, because he was sitting out games. These guys are finding that, wait a minute, we don't actually understand this guy, and when it comes to the injury management versus load management distinction, to them it's a distinction without a difference.
Yeah, but that's it. They say he does, to be clear, he does hang out with them. Like he's not away from the whole team. It's just all weird.
Up next is Zion Williamson, whose Pelicans are hosting the Nuggets at 8 o'clock tonight. The bar for Zion's encore will be really, really high, and that's both because he scored 17 straight points in his debut and because we are now taking a microscope to every aspect of him, like his weight, about which Zion told Woj this.
There's really no comparison to me because I try to add every level to my game. My body's just built different. Some people try to look at it as a weakness, but I look at it as a blessing because people aren't used to guarding this kind of size, and I'm able to add a little finesse to my game so it has flavor, and I feel like I'm a playmaker, so I can create for my teammates, and when I have to finish, I can go finish.
So, Bo, does Zion's perspective make sense there?
Yeah, I mean, this might be the only time ever people have acted like being bigger than everybody else is a problem, right? Now, I do think the thing with him is he is never going to be but so slim. Like this idea of looking at him, like even if he gets in the tip top of shape, he probably doesn't have a body that's going to turn into something that looks like a guy that is in tip top shape. So like that part doesn't worry me. I understand what the issue is going to be. He's going to be a heavy dude that jumps really high. There are going to be problems with that. Absolutely. But him saying, I look at my body as a blessing. So does just about everybody else.
Absolutely. My thick adult son should not be body shamed in this way. And it's because, Bomani, I actually fear what happens when you do tinker with a formula that has worked for his entire life? As much as I don't understand the physics of him, as much as I understand that when you have that much weight on joints like that and you're jumping that often, it kind of doesn't make sense, and it still doesn't to me. I don't want to change what's happening because we're not at that point yet to me. We're not at the point where his game is hampered by it. If the body ends up being a recurring issue, sure, let's revisit, but we're not there yet.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, he said there'll be a microscope to everything. We want to put a microscope on everything, right? Like, I don't feel like America is here like, oh man, Zion's about to play game number 2, right? Like, we're not so much at that place yet. He had the big game. We're in, we're on it. We're going to watch this as it progresses, right? But I think that he is at a place, and this happens to guys early. We enjoy them when they're early. When it's early, we don't really start putting the microscope on them until we start having some level of expectation of what kind of winning they are supposed to do. But at his position, he's got about 2 years and change before we start looking at you and then saying, okay, what you gonna do? Like your boy Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons has been not shooting for a very long time.
Correct.
We only started caring now that it's reasonable to expect him to make a basketball team better. Nobody's thinking about that with Zion right now. He should be straight.
Even in the age of the internet, you think he's going to be straight? I feel like people can be very mean to him.
You act like the internet's new, man.
Stop
Coming up
being mean.
next, how high could Tua be drafted?
Ever been knocked down, suffered a setback, fired, left out. It happens. It happened to Mike Bloomberg. Middle-class kid, worked his way through college, got a job, started a family. Boom. Fired at 39. What did Mike do? What a lot of us do. He got back up, dove back in. He had an idea. Design a new computer able to crunch data and process information in a unique way. He built it, he sold it, he built more, he sold more. He built a team, he built a company, created 20,000 jobs. Bloomberg is a doer. This is Michael Douglas. I've played a president in movies. This is real world. This is our world. Mike Bloomberg has what it takes to win. Unite the country, find some common ground between Democrats and Republicans, and then lead the way a leader should. Mike will get it done.
I'm Mike Bloomberg, candidate for president, and I approve this message. Paid for by Mike Bloomberg 2020.
Geico presents Left Brain versus Right Brain.
After much deliberation, I've decided we should switch to Geico.
Hey, sounds good to me.
We could save hundreds of dollars on our car insurance.
Which, now I'm just blue skying here, we can reinvest those funds into my business idea.
Oh, not this again.
First, get some investors on board, right?
Nobody is going to invest in dental floss made of turkey jerky.
Okay, well not with that attitude. Wow.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
High Noon is coming to you from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17.
Do it! There we go. Get the money. $1 bills, y'all. First topic. Bucks. Milwaukee is currently 39-6 and on pace for 71 wins. You in on the Bucks winning 70.
I am in on the prospect of this. My warning to the Bucks.
The question is the prospect. You in on the winning 70 or
But
not.
there is more to this, Bomani. I think they absolutely can, but the problem is the drawback, right? People care for like a week. The Warriors won 73 games, and then what happened? No one cared because they didn't win the finals. I just caution them that this may not be the reward you think it is.
Got it. Win a championship, otherwise you don't win a championship. Yes, and I blame the Warriors for that, because winning 70 games is a whole lot to do. And them then losing in the finals completely took the luster off something that we had not seen until 1996. Now, I do think they are going to win 70 games, right? I just think they're that much better than the rest of the East. The question is going to be, how much are they going to play guys late to actually get to the 70 games, right? Do they care enough to actually make it there? I don't see any actual drawback to winning 70 games. If they win 69 and lose in the champion in the finals, we gonna clown the same way.
Next topic, Kevin Love. Love says, quote, I'll be happy if I'm still with the Cleveland Cavaliers beyond the trade deadline. So you win on that.
Is he happy on the Cleveland Cavaliers right now? Right? Because maybe he is. I may be wrong about this. I don't think he appears to be too happy on the Cavaliers right now. So you're telling me that you're not happy right now, but it'll be okay after the window to get the hell out of Dodge goes away? Come on, man. You got to say that, but I ain't got to.
I am out on this, but that is the point. He has to say this because he wants to get out of Dodge ASAP. If I'm the Cleveland front office, I am telling him, please talk about how happy you will be even if you don't get traded. That's the only way we have a shot in hell of convincing everyone else that we might actually get something that's fair value for you.
What is value for him, by the way? Does anybody know? Because I don't have an answer. Up next, Tua Tagovailoa. In Mel Kiper's first mock draft of the year, he has Tua going number 5 overall to the Dolphins, while Bart Scott said on Get Up that Tua isn't getting past number 3 overall. You in on Tua going that high?
I am in on him going that high, assuming the body checks out. And that's the big question mark. How does his actual hip feel? How do his ankles look? All that stuff. But Bomani, this is such a quarterback-scarce sport. And if you can get Tua, who is so accurate at throwing the ball deep, yeah, you take him that high.
It is a quarterback-scarce sport, but this isn't really a quarterback-scarce draft, right? Now, it all depends on how you feel about a guy like Justin Herbert or a dude like Jordan Love. I don't have the answers on those dudes. I haven't paid nearly enough attention to it. It's just hard for me to believe that this dude who had the hip injury that he had is just going to be okay. Now, if people think that he's a top 10 pick, then he will go in the top 3 because somebody's going to have to trade up and get him. I'm just not as sold on this. I'm not sold just based on the college stuff.
Now to the Ravens. Lamar Jackson compared Marquise Hollywood Brown to Julio Jones and said, quote, this year he's going to be dangerous. So you win on that.
He was dangerous last year. Like, that's the thing about this dude, man. He has that level of speed where I don't know who anybody is that is supposed to check him, and he is a decent wide receiver, not just super fast. So size notwithstanding, yeah, I don't think he's going to be Julio Jones dangerous necessarily, but he's pretty damn dangerous.
I am in on his potential. Lamar Jackson is going to throw deep to him over and over again, and he will be very good at catching the ball deep over and over again. But that size thing you mentioned is the point.